I hereby sentence Maryam Sanda to death by hanging.
All right, gentlemen, my name is Barrister Ikechukwu Obasi. You know, people have been asking for my legal opinion over the presidential pardon granted to a certain Maryam Sanda that was convicted of, specifically convicted of murder of her husband. Following the news circulating, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu granted a presidential pardon to the woman. To the question whether it is appropriate for President Tinubu to grant her pardon. Yes, speaking on point of law, if you look at the provisions of Section 175 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the President has the power to grant clemency. He or she exercises that prerogative of mercy to grant pardon to any condemned criminal. He can grant that pardon, and this is a discretionary power. It is based on his discretion. It's an executive discretion. He can exercise such powers. Let me bring this into your notice. When a person is sentenced to death by either hanging, the person remains on death row at the pleasure of the president or the governor to, sign the execution instrument. It is when the governor or the president exercises such power by signing the execution order. That is when the execution of death sentence will be carried out. But without that, the person will be on the death row awaiting his or her fate. And the fate always remains at the pleasure of the governor if it is a state offense, or at the pleasure of the president if it is a federal offense. So that is what just played out here. The woman has been on a death row, and recently the president exercised his powers under Section 175 of the 1999 Constitution. And how they exercise this power is that, first of all, he has to consult the state council. He has to consult the state council. Thereafter, he will now issue the instrument of pardon, and automatically the condemned criminal becomes a pardon. But there is an issue that has triggered some criticism of this current presidential pardon. This person is a condemned murderer. But here is a man who is just agitating for the freedom of his people, for his marginalized people. And you termed him a terrorist. You accused him of being a terrorist and took him to court. You're not allowing the court to do the needful. The body language still shows that the executive tends to be interfering, preempting what will be the outcome of the judgment. Take for instance what our distinguished Senator Akpabio said the last time on the Senate House. He commented, he called IPOB a terrorist organization, whereas the subject matter is still a matter before the court. It's still subject to litigation. So they are supposed not to comment, but some of the body languages of our leaders show that they have already, condemned Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB before the court even decides. So that is the problem. That is why we are so concerned that there is selective justice in Nigeria. You are pardoning a condemned criminal who just murdered a husband, but the southeastern leaders, the stakeholders, and the thought leaders have been asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, who is only agitating for self-determination as protected under Article 20 of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, and also protected by Section 39, which guarantees right to political opinion. And you are going after the person, exercising a right protected under the law, whereas pardoning a condemned criminal, which is your right. But what we are saying is that this era, this tenure of selective justice tends to breach Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution. We are being given the impression that Nnamdi Kanu is suffering not because he committed a crime, but he's suffering because he's an Igbo man. That is why I'm calling on the president to do the needful. Now, Showore is calling for a peaceful march on 20th of this month. You can surprise us by, trying to stop them from protesting. And the only way to stop them from protesting is to release Nnamdi Kanu maybe on the 16th of October, when the Medical Association of Nigeria will present the medical report, which we know, if it is not tampered with, that the medical report will actually show that Nnamdi Kanu has underlying ailment, that his health is deteriorating. So thank you. But one thing I must tell the people is that the president do have the power under Section 175 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. He has such right, but it should be exercised judiciously, not selectively. So thank you.